All right, what's up, everybody? I'm Owen, and this is Nicolas, and today we're joined by Greg. What's up, Greg? How you doing?
I'm great. Honestly, I'm actually too good. I'm a little worried.
I love it. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Greg Golf, he's the director of marketing and co-founder of Shabang. And yeah, man. So why are you doing so good? Like, it's just been a good day, good week. Like, what's going on?
Man, so I live down in Santa Barbara, and I love it down there. I went to Poly, of course, and it's like doing what I do. It's seasonal, where like sometimes it's really busy, sometimes it's really chill, and we're in a moment right now where we're like building things up and then coming to slow and like actually seeing people be excited about Shabang, interacting with you guys, like being at my alma mater, just like feels good.
So building things up, as in building up for the festival, or you guys got other things going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, so we have a lot of projects going on, mainly building for the festival. That is like the main thing we do each year. We also have started a new music and skate festival.
Skate Safari?
Skate Safari. It's in Arroyo Grande. It will be our second installment on March 11th. So lineup's going to drop in about 2 weeks. But it's a really cool combination. We essentially, in Arroyo Grande, there's a place called the Vert Jungle. It's a bamboo farm and it's a skate facility.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It's really rad, and they've actually got one of the nicest ramps in California. This guy named Rob Bedouin, like, it's been building this property for 20 years, and he built a stage on the ramp and a DJ booth on the ramp. And the event's it's a cool mashup of Olympian skaters, pro skaters, and a bunch of kick-ass bands and DJs, and art, Forever Stoked, a bunch of sponsors. So it's just like a cool, I don't know if you guys have ever been to like a skate demo.
Yeah, what does that mean?
So skate demos are essentially, there's like skate comps that are like, professional, yada, yada, and they're scored. And so it's like they're looking at like your form and this and that. And a pro skate demo is just like, go watch professional skaters who love to rip do what they love to do,
Right.
So it's
right.
casual, and you're listening to music. So that's been a really fun project. We're doing a Battle of the Bands tour up and down the coast.
Oh, that's awesome. So like, is that going to different, like bringing the same group like around, or like different schools, different bands? Like, how's that work?
Different bands, different schools, different cities. So in the fall, we opened up an artist submission form. We're like, hey,
right,
we're looking for like awesome bands. If you think you'd fit the Shabang vibe, apply. And within a couple of days, we had hundreds of responses. And we were like, wow, we only have so many slots. So we're basically like, okay, let's, figure out a way to give some of these bands a shot that, might not get banned, like, a band up in Santa Cruz, a band down in San Diego. So essentially in San Diego, SLO, Santa Barbara, Berkeley, and San Diego, and Santa Cruz, we're doing a Battle of the Band show. So bands can apply. We'll pick 5 or 6, play at this show. And for every city, each winner gets to play at Shabang.
Oh,
no way.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and they win $1,000. So it's like, get $1,000, get to play a festival. So
how do they apply? Do they send in like a video or?
Yeah, so we have an application on our website. And essentially, the application's like, where are you guys at? What do you love about what you play? What do you play? Kind of vibe. Yeah.
It's pretty wild how many good music artists and people and bands there are around here. Like, just that you meet and like you kind of know, even just at Cal Poly. It's pretty crazy.
There are incredible acts all across California, and a lot of them are like 18 to 24. But it takes a while to build up a listenership and play shows, and it's just a hard industry to get into. So like, it's cool and slow. There's a ton of house shows. Not every city's like that.
Yeah. How did you guys kind of start? So this is all under Shabang that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skate Safari, all these other things. Yeah.
So you guys have been doing shebang for how many years now?
So we technically started. We technically did our first shebang in 2014.
Wow. Okay.
We
Describe that. Yeah. What was that like?
Oh man. So
Where was it at?
man, so it's on. Have you ever been up to Cuesta Ridge?
Oh yeah.
Up the grade a little bit. So it's about 10 minutes up the grade. Probably the most beautiful venue. So you're rolling up and you'll see a road peel to the left. You don't take that, but once you crest the hill,
up above that road, kind of. Yeah. Okay. I know. We did a DJ set there at the end of summer with my buddy Max. He DJ'd, and that was a lot of fun. But it's pretty up there. It's yeah. So
yeah.
So you guys was it just you and like some friends, like a couple friends? Like how did it kind of?
Yeah. So this whole thing originated. Basically, I was in a class with a co-founder of mine, Carson Stone, and I think it's called Healthy Living, which is a great GE if anyone's trying to knock out. That's like C1 or something. But one of the things you have to do is you have to put 12 hours of volunteer work in. We completely procrastinated. The weekend before finals, we were like, all right, we got to put 12 hours into one thing. And we ended up volunteering at the Echo Homeless Shelter in Atascadero. Okay. Really great, really cool organization. But you stay up all night and you just make sure everything's cool at the shelter. So we stayed up all night, and 4 a.m. comes around, and we're like, we should put something together. Let's throw a party.
So did you guys know each other before this class you took, Taylor?
A little bit, yeah. We were both on the lacrosse team.
Okay, nice.
But we were buddies, not like anything crazy. But it was like, yeah, let's have a party. And he's like, my buddy Angus plays in this band, William H. Clink, shout out. And at 4 a.m. we like sent some texts like, hey, we're gonna do this thing tomorrow night. Everybody should come out. Went, rented a generator the next day. Everybody that we texted came. We had about 20 people up there and one band. And you've played up there. Like those sunset sets.
Above the clouds. Like, yeah, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
It really is.
If you haven't been there, it's like 5 miles of rolling hills right to the ocean. And you can see Morro on one side all the way to Avila.
It's like out of a movie. Like it feels like like it's almost like it couldn't be real, but it's sick.
It's probably my favorite spot in Slow. So we did that, and it was just our friends. About 20 people showed up. We just jammed, had a good time, all camped up there. And the next morning we were like, yeah, that was sick. We should do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it named Shebang back then, or was it something else?
Yeah. So the very first one, one of the reasons behind it is we were like, let's go someplace cool and slow, celebrate a cool slow band that our buddies are in, and let's cap off the year right. So we called it the last shebang.
Oh, I see.
It's the last shebang of the year. Like, this is the last shebang, guys.
What year of school were you in at the time?
Sophomores.
Fresh sophomore. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that was the first last shebang.
Yeah. I know, right? It was like the last shebang, and then it ended up. We haven't even had our last one yet. Hopefully, we don't anytime soon.
And so you guys were planning it to become like this huge thing. Was that the vision initially, or did you kind of do it just year by year, and then you were like, I want to do this full time, or what?
Yeah. So to be completely honest, there was no vision. There was no that this could become something. It was really just let's have fun with our friends.
Yeah, totally.
And right. So the next day we woke up, we're like, let's do this. Let's do it another time. That was a great time. And I guess that was the end of spring quarter. So then in the fall, we were like, hey guys, we're having Shebang 2. Come hang out. Same thing. We got one more band, and probably 50 people came.
2 bands, 50 people.
Yeah. Okay. People were like, whoa, this is really rad.
And still probably more like your close friends. Like you kind of knew everyone there still.
Yeah. Knew everybody there, knew all the faces. And that winter quarter, we're really rolling on this thing. And it's pretty plug and play at that point. It's rent a generator. The third shebang we did build a 6-inch little stage and threw it up there, and we'd go to Bill Gaines Audio and rent a little lighting, and I would sit there and turn it during the show.
Oh, really? Nice.
For the visual effects.
I'm sitting there like,
Yeah.
slow, and then sometimes I'm like flashing them.
Just headbanging.
Yeah. And man, those things would blow in the wind because we'd have them on tripods, and I'm looking at them like, this fall, it's like, this company, $150. That's like the most money that any of us have right now. Yeah, and we walk around with like a cooler, and we'd be like, hey, like, we're just looking for donations. We spent like $400. Like, feel free, and people would throw dollars in or anything.
Oh, I see. Okay. So,
Yeah.
And that helped out a bit.
And
when did you start charging for like selling a ticket or something? Or when did that start?
man, not till 2018, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was after you graduated?
Yeah, so that was after I graduated. So, we kept doing them up on the ridge. And didn't take it seriously, and obviously wanted people to be safe, but the main thing was like let's celebrate slow. Let's celebrate these bands, like, let's be grateful we get to live here. And then the 5th shebang came, and it was going to rain, and we were like, this will be fine, we'll work this out. And we did not work it out. It was the biggest storm of the year.
Oh, really? On that night?
And you tried to follow through?
Tried to follow through, and got these tents and set them up to try to keep everything dry. And I mean, it's raining sideways. So at some point, I think one band played, and to everyone's, everyone else, like, everybody hiked up there in the rain. Sometimes the road was closed.
Right.
So people put on their raincoats, hiked all the way up there.
Wow.
I was elated,
Yeah.
Music cuts. Things start to get a little dangerous. The winds are howling over there. So we're like, everybody get out of here. And that was a bit of a nightmare. And after that event, we got a call from the Santa Lucia Park District, or the Los Padres Park District, and they called me from a phone that had no number on it, and it's always kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
And somebody picked up, and he's like, "Hey, this is Chief Daryl Scott at yada yada yada, and I need you and Carson Stone and Alexander Schwinn to come talk to me in my office tomorrow." And we were like, "Oh
no!"
Yeah.
So a bit ominous. And Alexander Schwinn was the guy that built the stage and was in the band. So
okay, gotcha.
Us three, Carson and Alex and I, had started all working together, and so we went in there and talked with him for a long time, and ended up getting some federal misdemeanors.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Was it relating to the weather, or was it just kind of like just a safety thing overall?
just didn't have anything to do with the rain. They had known we had been going up there doing shows. And so just a thing where, it's technically illegal to go up there and to have amplified sound.
Really?
Yeah.
Specifically there, or just like anywhere in AG, or what?
So in essentially like going, and it had grown at this point to 200, 300, 400 people.
It's fairly significant, like pretty significant.
Yeah. And so, pretty significant renegade, right? And so essentially there's a number, right, where all of a sudden your event becomes like a gathering. And if you have a gathering, it has to be permitted. And the amplified
so
sound.
You didn't have the permit.
So we didn't have the permit. And after that, we tried to get a permit. And just if anybody's listening to this podcast, it is nearly impossible to get a gathering permit for Cuesta Ridge. Yeah.
I know that people still do go up there and do stuff up there. So it's like, yeah, it's pretty interesting that you can get a.
Well, it must be smaller
charge.
Stuff, I guess, right? Because.
But what if the number is 40 people? For that,
is that what it is? Just 40 people and it becomes a gathering? Do you guys remember the exact numbers?
I don't know the number. And the the Los Padres National Forest and the something with Santa Lucia, I can't quite remember, but I think they were rightful to be. They were right for what they did, and they were just doing their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. So we're on the fifth shebang that doesn't go as planned.
At that point, was it still pretty like grassroots, or you guys were charging for tickets and then were incorporated, or like what was
completely free, all grassroots, and so that was around 20. It was only 2015, really.
Okay. Was
that fifth shebang, and then through a meeting with Daryl. He was actually like, you guys are actually pretty cool, and that was good because he's like 6'8", and I mean, he rolled up with a big German Shepherd, and he's like
movie shit right there.
Yeah. I mean, he's like fully strapped. Actually, we all wore little button-down shirts, and we were like, "Ooh, all right." And he was the one that was actually like, you know what? I actually know somebody at the city. You guys are cool. Let me show you how to get permits for another place.
Right on, yeah.
We moved to Laguna Lake.
After 2015, moved to Laguna Lake.
Yeah, so first shebang was 2016 there. Didn't charge. And then maybe in 2017, we're like, you know what? We probably got to charge $5.
Would you say that's when it started to get more official, or when would you say that started?
I'd say that we really started to hone a vision and think on a long-term basis in 2018.
2018, okay.
It's when we were like, you know what, this is something good for SLO, and we like doing it. And, we weren't thinking at that time we'd get to where we are now, but we were like, this is something that is important in the community, and it's worth chasing down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and what shebang number was that? 2018, roughly?
10. It's like the 10th one that we had.
Up until that point, how were you guys funding it? Was it all out of your pockets? Did you have any like investors?
Yeah, no investors. We don't have no investors to this day. Actually, we're all self-funded. But we would all put the money down. And then I'm telling you the cooler method, man. You just walk around and you just say, hey, this concert cost this much. Anything you can throw in would help. But eventually, there was one shebang where we did that, and we still lost a bunch of money. So we're like, this is worth $5.
Yeah. Totally.
So once you started charging, did you notice like less people turn out because it wasn't free anymore, or was it still pretty good because you had built up this reputation?
We started charging, but we also started upgrading our talent. So I think that year we brought in this band called The Memories, which I don't know if they're still playing. They're super rad. And we also brought in, or maybe that was the year after, we brought in like Sugar Candy Mountain and Winter. Those are some bands that are bigger in like the LA like surf rock scene. And so we started charging. We didn't see people drop off. We had built up, a good base at that point of people that were like, this is the type of thing I want to be involved in. But we started charging, and, we started showing people that value. It's like, hey, we're going to charge $5 or $10, but, we're going to have more stages, better bands, more art, things like that.
When did you guys expand into the arts? Because maybe you can explain like how shebang is different and that it has performers, but then also the more art side.
Yeah. So right when we went to Laguna Lake, we were like, man, we have all this space, right? Because, only 500, 600 people are coming. So it's like,
only.
Yeah. Now things like that. Back then I was like, what are we going to do?
What was the last shebang? How many people?
10,000.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, I didn't know it was that much. Damn.
It's crazy.
Wow. Okay, now I understand why you said only. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Well, right. Every time your mind changes, right? Like 500 back then was like, couldn't imagine anything more than that, but changes over time. But we had all this space to fill at Laguna Lake, and we were all coming into the people that were putting this on, we're all coming into what piece of this we were doing. So, the only reason we kind of do what we do today is, I was the one that sent out the texts the first time. I do marketing now.
Right.
The guy that booked the band, that guy does music now. And the guy that built the stage, that guy does build now, And so when we moved to Laguna Lake, my partner, Alex, was like, man, we have a lot of space to fill. Maybe we could get some art vendors to come out. We had some friends that were like, we'll do live painting. And we drove a car up and like people could tag it and spray paint on it. And we just saw, that first time we were at Laguna Lake, we're like, people love this, so now it's a big focus of what we do.
Yeah, that's definitely such a huge part of the festival, I would say. Just from going last year, there's like the art exhibits where you can draw or paint on them, and then like there's like the bus with the silent disco, and then there's like the other bus, the VIP one, and then there's just stuff everywhere like mushrooms, like the environment is like very cool, just with the trees and everything and the lake. So yeah, it's super cool experience, and I think that ties into we were talking about. There's so many cool, like so many good music artists around. It's so many good artists in general, so it allows more people the outlet to be creative.
Yeah, and it's we like to offer as much interactive stuff as we can, just because like it's just fun when you're at a festival, you're having a great time, you're listening to music, and you walk over to something, and it looks cool, but you can interact with it in some way. Mm-hmm. One of our things was I forget. I should remember her name. She brought out this installation that said "Here." It's like HERE, and it was all glass and it was open.
That one was cool, and you could write a note on it.
Yeah, people wrote notes and dropped them in there.
Yeah, that was cool.
We went through them afterwards, and like some of them like almost brought me to tears. Some because it was like emotional, and some because I was just like, this is way too funny. But some people were like, I met like my partner at Shabang 3 years ago, and like we're moving to Spain next year. And I was like,
that's crazy.
And then some people are just like, I'm high, or whatever. It's like, I'm having the best day ever. I'm like, this is cool. So just things you can touch, and there's some back and forth there. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So throughout the whole time, have you been kind of the creative visionary, or like you've kind of shifted from that into marketing? How have the other people around you, because you guys have built up a good team, I'm assuming, because I mean Shabang's doing really well now. So how has that kind of evolved over time?
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you my best shot at answering that. It really has been pretty organic. We were approached by a group called Respect the Funk when they were, they're like 2 years behind us in school, and they basically said like, hey, we think it'd be really cool to have EDM, tech house, club shit there. We're like, yeah, that'd be cool. Like, would you guys want to like help? And they're like, yeah, for sure. And, that's like we had. Right?
And was that the birth of one of the stages?
Yeah, so that was the birth of the silent disco. Is where we started.
Oh yeah, what year was that? When did that start?
Probably 2017 was the first year I had the silent disco.
I was mistaken on what a silent disco was. I think like I thought everybody had to listen. I thought it was everybody went and listened to their own music off their phone. So you all had different music. I had no idea and then we went there, but everyone's listening to the same music, but there's 2 channels you can switch between. I thought that was a really cool concept. I didn't really. Is that how most silent discos work?
That's how most silent discos work, and they'll have like 2 or 3 channels. And great part of it is that like I can see what you're listening to.
Yeah.
I may not be able to talk with you, but I can like roll up to you, switch to blue, you're on blue, and like we can interact in that way.
But then you can just take it off and like chill for a sec too. You're not. It's kind of nice for that. Yeah. Yeah.
Because usually it's hard.
Yeah.
So we did a silent disco that year with EDM, and then like people loved it.
Yeah.
Like of course people loved it. So then the next year we're like, well, we gotta blast this through some subwoofers, and so that's how the Funk Safari started. And then like we had our friend came every year from Seattle to help out. He would be like, hey, can I come help? We're like, yeah, you can come help. And he would just help every time. And so he's become, Sawyer Whalen's become our music director. The guys that started Respect the Funk, Nathan Doherty and Gabe Santos, have become creative directors of the festival. And then one of our volunteers who volunteered as a freshman in like 2017 or 2018 was like, hey, I love graphics and I love Shabang. Like, I'm down to help. And we're like, all right, great. And she's actually become our like graphics creative director. So it's really just been people saying like, I think this would be a cool aspect, and it's something that I can help with. And it's pretty much been like, come on board.
Yeah, that's awesome. We were just talking about kind of interactivity just a little while ago, and I wanted to ask about what part of what you're doing, the experiential marketing. I was wondering if you could explain a bit about that and how it works, and is that new? Is that something that's newer?
So it's something we've always done. Last year was the first year we really built out a whole department dedicated to that.
And what would you define it as, I guess?
Yeah, so I'd say, and in general, experiential marketing has been around, but I think it's slowly like taking a large forefront of marketing. But essentially what it is personifying your brand in person through some type of like what we call an activation. And essentially it's like meeting your consumers face to face and providing them value outside of like, hey, purchase this product, So we have a whole team right now, and they essentially just make awesome events happen. So it's like they're right now planning the Undie Run, which is something that we did like way back in the day and decided to bring back last year. So it's a closed drive, and it's like a fun, classic college experience that I think people should have.
Is that upcoming, or that's already happened?
That's upcoming. It's in April. I don't know the exact date. We're doing one in Santa Barbara and one in SLO.
Nice.
Yeah. We're doing Squid Games here.
Wait, what is that?
Squid Games.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's like a field day, and you can enter with the team, and if you win, you get a bunch of free tickets. Yeah, so stuff like that. We go to bike night and, bring a DJ there and have them play. I'm trying to build a thing where a DJ can like be on a bike and get biked around.
Yo.
If anybody is listening to this podcast, could help me with that. I need it.
Trying to think about how that would work.
They have these Dutch bikes that'd be perfect, but they're all like $5,000.
Would you need like? Would the guy
though.
be steering the bike and DJing, or would you have a guy like towing the DJ?
I think somebody needs to be towing the DJ. I think someone needs to be looking at the road.
Yeah,
for sure.
That makes sense.
You need like a jockey DJ, like 100-pound,
Yeah.
You can't have like a 6'8" DJ. So things like that, they just essentially work on those types of events all around. And it's nice. Like you can go to someone and ask them a question. You can do other things that we're putting on that just fun,
So you guys have like expanded to a lot of different things. So how many like people do you guys have now?
Right now, our inner team is 6 people. So we're really like the core like curated and plan things. And then, we scale over the course of the year, right? So we'll do rounds of hiring in all of our departments. So, we have 6, and then we'll pick up 20, and then we'll pick up another 25. I mean, right now we're probably at 75 to 80.
Wow.
Just with different internships, different contractors, things like that. And then, going into the festival, we'll have near 150 or so. And then at the festival, there's 500 plus people on staff probably.
And so that's people helping with the setup, the takedown. That's people volunteering for merch or like the door, and then I guess outside of there's also like people promoting. Like, what is that most of it, or?
Yeah, so the largest portion of our staff at the moment is in marketing. So, probably marketing alone out of the like 75 that we're at is probably like 40 or 45. But now that we're getting into logistics phase and execution phase, we kind of break each festival down into phases and like curating it creatively, ironing out all the details on how it's going to happen, and then making it happen, right? But now that we're getting into logistics and execution phase, we start bringing on like box office directors, credential coordinators. Our build team's pretty massive, so we prefabricate everything off site, break it down, bring it to the site, and rebuild it.
That sounds fun.
It's super fun. You should join.
Yeah, I might have to.
Yeah, I'll connect you with Alex. Yeah, it's literally like, and we hire a ton of poly students, a lot of like engineers, arch students, and it's like, hey, we're gonna build 24 by 30 stage. Come out and they build it. We do everything with wood, which is real tough, but aesthetically beautiful.
Is that just kind of like trying to save on price, or like make everything so you can take it apart after and dispose of it? Like, what's the reasoning for that?
It's actually more expensive to do because we could just
with wood
because you could just pay a company to come in and roll out a stage, and then it's all done, and it's a rental fee, and they move it. We've picked our aesthetic as like a DIY, like do it yourself aesthetic, and so we don't do any like metal trussing. It's all wood, and it just makes the festival better in our opinion. Honestly, it's not like
it fits a vibe for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. Do you go like, so I guess this is the months and time leading up to the festival, you're busier. What else are you doing the rest of the year? Are you going to other festivals? Do you live in SLO, or?
So I live in Santa Barbara.
In SB. Oh yeah, you said, okay, yeah.
So I live in SB. Yeah, so our whole team goes to a fair amount of concerts, festivals. Our team just got back from Acaso, which is a festival in Costa Rica.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Another quick festival I'm just going to drop. This festival called Envision in March. Okay. If anybody's listening to this and likes Costa Rica and likes everything that's good in life, please go to Envision. So we do go to festivals year round, not as many as we'd like. But those are to have fun and also to just see like, what are they doing on the production end? Like, what do their stages look like? And, every artist before we book them, we have a policy where we like have to see them live. And so that's a big piece of it as well.
That's cool. I feel like a lot of festivals probably don't do that. The people running it.
Yeah, it's so important. Your favorite artist can be like killer on a track, but might not hit it live. And our big thing at Shabang is like, everyone might not know all the artists, but if you show up to the Cuesta Ridge stage at like 4 p.m. and you don't know what you're going to get, we want to get you to be lit up by something, and then you see that and you're like, this band crushes. And that's because our music team spends a lot of time just going to shows and being like, this band has it.
That's also a cool job.
That is a very cool job.
I wish that was my job.
So I guess to the opposite of that, because that sounds awesome, but what do you think are the more challenging aspects of running Shabang every year?
Yeah, there are, it's not all highlights, so I appreciate you bringing that up. Some challenging things is it's like when you start and, we try to start with a blank slate every year. So we're like, okay, we're going to have these 5 stages and we'll have this. And we're like pretty cleared out on that. But we sit there in a room with a whiteboard much like this. And we're basically just like, what's everything like we could do? We sit there and we're like, hot air balloon rides, skydive into Shabang VIP package,
Yeah.
motocross at the
Yeah.
festival, like underground curling rink. Like we just throw everything up there, and 90% of it's garbage, but 10% of it's great. And we sort through it, and then we're like, all right, we're going to work to make all this happen. And so getting into that phase and like coordinating everything is monotonous, repetitive, difficult, a lot of like negotiating with people and vendors and hiring and scaling and job descriptions and management. So all the things that allow people to do what they're ultimately going to do and love and be amazing at. But just all that is basically like the 6 of us on our computers and phones, just like responding to emails, calling, stuff like that.
Does the whole team live in SB? Like, do you guys meet up or Zoom or like, how's that work?
Yeah, so we all meet once a week, and then we do like quarterly retreats.
Nice.
So sometimes in Santa Barbara, sometimes in another location, but we have one person in San Diego, one person in LA, 2 people in Santa Barbara, one person in SLO, one person in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
But we're all pretty mobile up and down the coast.
Would you say like your guys' attention is like totally geared around Shebang? Like, do you want to just keep building that up, or do you guys talk about doing another festival maybe in a different location? I mean, I know you have Skate Safari, but I guess more on the same like vibe as Shebang, but somewhere else. Or
Yeah, we've we've talked about taking Shabang on the road, doing like a Warped Tour style thing.
what is it? Warp.
So Warped Tour was a festival that it actually probably didn't end till like 2008 or something. But it was like really, really big in the 90s. And so it was like Vans Warped Tour. And it was sponsored by Ernie Ball, which is a company here. They do guitars and guitar accessories. But yeah, what they would do is like, they had a fleet of like 20, 30-foot U-Hauls. And it's like, you load stages, production, lighting, sound, power, load it all into there. And they would just drive, start in like college town in Maine, come down the coast, go through Chicago. And they'd have like, 18 dates back to back. So it was a really famous thing and really cool event. So we've talked about that. We've been fiddling around with that idea. We are going to have a 3rd new festival in 2024.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Can you say anything on that, or is that still under wraps?
It'll be on the Central Coast, is what I can say. And really excited to kick that one off. So Shebang and like Skate Safari and this new festival are our main focuses. But one of the things we have started doing is just doing shows up and down the coast. So doing things in San Diego, Berkeley, Santa Cruz, San Francisco, LA, things like that.
And apart from Shebang and Skate Safari here in SLO, are you guys doing anything else throughout the year? Like, I think maybe I was told maybe you guys do sponsored events or like maybe up on Cuesta Ridge or things like that.
Yeah, so we do some secret renegades for like, for everyone and like mainly like our staff that are here. So we do some of that stuff. And then, we've booked some dates at the Fremont and at Slow Brew Rock and do some stuff at Slow Guildhall, things like that. And then we do a lot of free shows.
That'll be cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great venue that's been around for a long time. And they just got to tear the seats out. I just got to tear the seats out. I don't know if you guys have been there.
Honestly, true. Yeah. I've been there. Other stuff.
It's a slow thing. They should make it so you can like, put them back and stuff, but
it is a slow thing. One thing I should say too, we just announced it today, but just so we're all on the same page, that we're switching venues.
Oh,
someone was just telling me that earlier today. I was going to ask you.
Yeah, so we switched venues to Dairy Creek Golf Course.
Yeah.
10 minutes up the one.
That should be. I mean, I've only been to Dairy Creek once or twice. I would imagine more space.
More space. it's, the accessibility is better. Laguna Lake wasn't built for events of that size. So, yeah, I mean, there's ingress and egress there. There's more space. It'll be easier to get, medical personnel and fire trucks and facilities on and off site. And it's a beautiful venue, man. It's going to be unreal. And if you go, I was just there the other day. It's Laguna Lake is an amazing venue. And the eucalyptus trees, just gorgeous. But Dairy Creek is definitely, it'll be an ascension. It's like if you're there and you look 360 degrees, you can see like 3 of the sisters. It's just all green mountains. It's gorgeous. So we're excited to get there and move on up and just do our thing, man.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that. That'll be awesome.
What's the size difference? I'm curious between Laguna Lake and this new one.
So, and it's like we're permitting certain spaces. So we'll have about twice as much land space. Wow. Yeah, with room to grow if needed.
What are you guys going to do with the new space?
Yes, I mean, a lot more art and, just like spaces to hang out, like lounges. If you guys were at Shabang last year, it was awesome. And there were some places to like chill out, but we kind of want to give people a little bit more like space to roam. So there are all these like really nice natural bowls.
Oh, yeah.
So just like blankets, chill, things like that. And then we've tripled the size of our stages and artists that we're bringing this year. So really it's like a lot of it's going to get taken up by just stages.
You said tripled the size. Wow.
That's a pretty big upgrade.
And I guess
scaling up
like 2.5 technically, but we've greatly pushed that this year. And part of it's because just makes for a better experience, and part of it is because trying to book the caliber of artists that we're trying to book. In the past we've tried to book bands and they're like, we're not going to play on a stage that small. And it's like,
really? They say just because of the size?
Really?
Even though there's thousands of people that go.
Yeah, I mean, usually only like 5.
That's kind of interesting.
6 people in a band max, right?
Is that like, does that have to do with like the kind of like the visuals going on behind it, or is it literally just this like the dimensions of the platform they're on?
Yeah, some of it's gear, some of it's production, probably most of it's ego.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like silly, but
have you guys, I'm sure you've considered it, but what are your thoughts on making a camping festival?
Yeah, we really, really, really want to bring camping to Shabang, and it's in the works. And I think 2024 we'll probably have we'll have a healthy camping area. It brings a lot of new pieces and challenges and logistics, but it'll 100% be worth it. And like, I might even camp at Shabang the first year just to see what's going on.
Dude,
Might as well, right? So
yeah.
How do you guys do that? So are you guys like there at Shabang when it's going on, or like still just handling all the logistics at the time, or like?
Yeah, so we're on site, mic'd up to 150 people. We're on radios, so it's, we have a channel and people will come onto that channel and like call us to other channels. So we're very much I'm enjoying things, but I'm also like running around like crazy. But we all end up like living in Slow for like 2 to 4 weeks, and all of us have lived here previously. So it's fun. We get to like come back here, go to all our old spots, hang out, be kind of stressed out, do the festival, and then clean it all up.
This is obviously a very different level, but I kind of know what you mean by like if you're the one, like if you're having a party, you're kind of like making sure everything's going well, walking, you get to experience or enjoy parts of it, but like a lot of the time you're kind of like just very not on edge, but yeah, you're like gears are going.
Absolutely. And, over the years, it's definitely changed for me, right? It's like in the beginning, it was like, I kind of just want to hang out with everyone. And I'd still do the things I needed to do, but I was not upset that I had to do them, but I was like, man, this would be so much better if I just got to like party and hang out. But now it's kind of come to a point where like, being there and being worked up, it's like you know that you're creating experiences for a lot of other people. It feels good to like find purpose in that and be like, I might be on edge, but 10,000 other people are about that are having the time of their lives. And that like feels good.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of those experiences, what do you think are some of the crazier things that have gone on at Shabang that you've witnessed?
That you can talk about.
Yeah, that you can talk about. Exactly, yeah.
That I can talk about. I will just say, statistically, we're an anomaly for how safe our event is. I don't know what's going on with these kids, and I don't know what's going on with Cal Poly and Slow Kids these days, but you guys are going hard and also being extremely safe, responsible, respectful. Pretty crazy. There was a marriage proposal in 2018 on stage.
Wow.
One of the performers or somebody in the...
Someone you knew?
Nobody that we knew. These people in the crowd like went to our sound guy and they were like, this one girl was like, hey, like I want to ask my girlfriend to marry me. And our sound guy was like, yo, I'm running sound for a show right now.
Yeah.
And he mentioned it to another sound guy who mentioned it to our music director at that time, who like called us together, and he was like, hey, we should let this happen. And we were like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so during the set change, they like went up there and, she proposed and she said yes. And it's beautiful. I was like, wow. I once saw a kid, this is like way back in the day, but he had this wine bottle. And I'm like, how did this guy get this wine bottle in here, whatever? And I can tell he like doesn't have like a corkscrew. And he's just staring at it.
No.
And I'm like, I'm looking at it and I like realize he's like standing next to a tree. And I realize I'm like, oh God. And I just, as I'm walking over there, I see him turn and just try to like chip the top off of the bottle, and the whole thing shatters and the kid like slices his hand open, and I'm like, dude, come on, man. So we took him to medical. He was all good, but it was just that split second where I see him, I like realize what he's thinking. It's just like 10 seconds too late to react to it.
Dang.
So it's always fun. Things going down at the festival.
Yeah.
As long as people are safe.
It's good to hear that it's pretty safe overall. And I mean, this isn't the most exciting question, but what do you guys kind of do to mitigate the risks?
Yeah. So a lot of it, we do as much preventative as possible. So if you bought tickets, you'll see like, we're going to email you and say like, these are things you can and can't bring. Just be completely clear up front. And just telling people like, hey, fentanyl is like now in cocaine, it's in Molly. Like this is something that you really gotta watch out for. We publicize,
provide like Narcan or like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so we on site. There's like 400 people with Narcan that are Narcan trained, or maybe a little less than that. But all our security, all our medical, a lot of our volunteers have Narcan, things like that. So like when it comes to preventative, like all sorts of just like messaging, like hey, like. This is a safe thing to do. Hey, this isn't a safe thing to do. And like, we want everyone to have a good time. But if like you want to have a good time and you have too good of a time and then you get hurt, like that is where it's like, oh, that's not worth it. And then at the festival, we have security that are all about harm reduction. So it's a company called the Guardians. And basically it's, the concept of, the best thing for safety isn't to like be really intimidating to somebody. It's more about like trust and coming from a place of like, hey, I care about you. I just want you to be safe. So they're all trained in talking people down, kind of like flying under the radar, being there when they need to be there. And then if something goes down, like they're some of the most legit and just like actionable security guards. But doing a lot of that stuff. And then of course having all medical on site. So we have a huge medical staff, ambulances on site. And, we're working with the police. So we're like, hey, you know, you can come here and do whatever we want. Like we have the same goals, you know, the fire department, the food department, and then hospitals are notified and nothing's happened, but just saying like, hey, this is happening, and just alerting everyone, getting everyone on the same page.
Right. Yeah. And it sounds like a big part of that is it starts with just the education, giving people the knowledge up front too, making sure so that way they can make more informed decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like at the end of the day, like everyone's going to do what they want to do. And we're not here to tell people what they can and can't do. But as somebody that's, you know, curating this experience, it is our responsibility to do everything we can to make sure people can access our event in a safe way, you know, and that's the best part is like, you know, people coming up to me afterwards and being like, I loved like this part of Shabang. Like I loved the silent disco, or I loved, you know, that you guys hid disco balls in the woods. Like I found them, and I'm like, yes, somebody found those disco balls. Yeah. Little things like that.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah. Anything else you want to promote to the people before you go?
Nothing I want to promote, I don't think. Well, Shabang, May 5th and 6th, 2023. And then I guess I just want to say that, you know, our inner team, pretty much our favorite thing that we do is work with college students on just career development, you know? So we hire a ton of college students to play super major roles in our festival. I mean, last year our Funk Safari stage manager was 19.
Wow.
And he did a great job. Shout out loud.
Yeah.
He did a great job. And so, you know, if you have an idea or you want to get involved, just reach out. We're open to it. And, you know, it's like just helping people get into the music industry, the festival industry, the entertainment industry. Anything we can do there brings us a ton of joy.
And how can people contact or reach out? Just your website or?
Yeah, so best thing to do is go to shabangslow.com/get-involved. Or you can just go to shabangslow.com and you'll see it right there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a ton of applications there for all different types of positions, ways you can get involved, art, merchant vendor, play music, things like that. And if you have an idea that we haven't thought of and there's not an application for it, then just email us, info@shabangslow.com.
Sweet.
Sounds good. All right,
Thank you,
Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on, and I had a really good time.
You guys are rad. Thank you.
Thanks, man.